We're back yet again with a new episode of Pursue Podcast. Kim, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah?
I'm gonna remember to speak in English.
This
Not
time?
in Norwegian. We were talking here. It was flowing so well
Yeah.
in Norwegian, but we have a Norwegian guest, obviously. But
Yeah.
I will remember to speak in English.
Yeah, because I think for those who are listening, and maybe it goes mostly out to the Danes, because the Danes, they don't understand Norwegian at all, do they?
Some do,
Some do?
don't, and sometimes I struggle with it, and sometimes I struggle with some Swedish
Yeah,
dialects. It depends on where they're from
Yeah.
in the country, and I think it's the same the other way around.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But it's not about us. It's not about the Danes, and it's not about the Swedes. It's about Just. Our guest today started his American journey at the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay, and D1-soccer. Before the adventure within him wanted a change, and he left for Hawaii Pacific. He's now a very popular influencer with millions of views and likes on TikTok. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
We will get into your millions and millions of views and how you built that, of course. And I think obviously your journey has been a very interesting one, and how you kind of fell into doing that. And you've always been an explorer, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Because you played very high level football or soccer in Norway.
Yeah.
You know, second tier here, got a taste of some professional, not you know, you were still an amateur athlete per the rules, so you could still play college soccer, but you did very well. You did well in school. You actually ended up moving to Oslo, the capital here, and you did a year of social science university studies, and then you wanted to go to the US.
Yeah, correct.
Was it always a plan for you to venture out and do that?
I always wanted to see the world and do more. And I started to get tired of going to La Manga. And I mean, it was good to go down there, and it was sunny and warm. But I mean, you get tired of going to La Manga every year.
La Manga being the place in Spain where all Norwegian, Swedish, Danish team probably go for preseason camps, and you're at a resort, and it's nice pitches and all that, but gets a bit tedious in the end.
Yeah, it does. So I just wanted to do more and see more.
You got the chance to do that, obviously going to the US, and especially you've been in different parts of the country and you've explored a lot. But I still remember when we were doing your college recruiting process, you wanted to push it with the football.
Yeah.
That was when we got in touch and kind of understanding your preferences of what you wanted. It was very important for you that the soccer team should be very good. I want to continue developing, and in the end, you had several options there, but you picked University of Wisconsin Green Bay.
Yeah.
And where is Wisconsin? So that people, it's not a state that maybe most people know too much about.
No, I get that question a lot. Like, where did you go? And when I say Green Bay, Wisconsin, they say, I mean, I heard about the Packers, but I have no clue where Wisconsin is. And it's basically up north in the middle of the map next to Lake Michigan. So the water on the map and to the left.
Okay, that's good. So everybody's now checking their phones and their maps. Yeah. I've been to Green Bay. And I've been outside the Green Bay Packers, you know, the NFL team. You know, you had Brett Favre. His name is Favre, but it's pronounced Favre. And I always wondered about that. But he's the most famous person, I think, from Green Bay, because he was such a famous quarterback, one of the best ones ever. Made a cameo in the film There's Something About Mary.
Really?
Fun fact, yes. And it's known for being cheeseheads. That's what the fans there, I believe, are called. Or at least they put these... it's a bit like you're in Switzerland, because they put these hats on, look like cheese.
Yeah. No, it's the cheeseheads. That's their supporters. And I believe Green Bay Packers is the only NFL team that is owned by the people in the state and not by like one rich owner. So it's like it's more about the people And that's why Green Bay has like a special atmosphere at the games, because I mean everyone's going there and everyone's a part of like owning the team.
Okay. Well, that makes a difference because, you know, with the ownership of some American teams, you know, the owner might just move the franchise.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, we're moving the city, you know, the team to Los Angeles next year. What? Is that possible? But that happens.
Yeah.
But in Green Bay, different. And was it a different vibe in the community as a result of that?
I think so. And I mean, the team, Green Bay Packers, they worked with the school on several like different things. So Green Bay, Wisconsin, like the university, and they were not allowed to have an American football team because they would compete with the NFL team when it comes to fans. But since they were not allowed to have a team, the cheerleaders on the school, they were allowed to be cheerleaders on like in NFL. So it was like give and take, and we were allowed to use their practice fields during the winter if we wanted to play 11v11.
Pretty good trade-off.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you know, most and that's a big difference between the different schools and the divisions. But most Division 1 teams, they would have American football. That is a big money maker. And the money filters down from the, you know, the merchandise, the ticket sales, the everything, TV rights. Ridiculous amount of money involved in that, and then the other sports benefit. But yeah, you didn't want the Packers. They're the only team in town.
Yeah. So the next big team would be Madison, Wisconsin, like Madison. That's
yeah, because the University of the name of the state, they typically have many different campuses. You know, I was at University of South Carolina, upstate, which is one of the campuses, and then you have the main campus was University of South Carolina, Columbia, and then you had probably 5 or 6 other ones. It's the same in the system you were in, the UW system.
Yeah. So you have University of Wisconsin, Green Bay, you have Milwaukee, Madison, and probably some other ones.
Yeah. You have several other ones.
Yeah.
But how was it to step on campus? You'd studied some in Norway, did a year, social sciences here at the School of Theology, and you came over there. What was the big difference for you?
Basically how like the classes were built up. So here you have like one final exam, and when you go over there you have like homework, you have like stuff you have to deliver all year, you have bonus points. You can you can get and collect points throughout the year to make sure you do good at the end of the year. Over here, if you blow your final, I mean that's your grade. So it's easier, you have more control. Like you can basically decide if you want to have a good grade or not.
Did you prefer the more rigid, hey, we want to help you get good grades, or was it more the procrastinator in you that benefited from just reading, long nights, 2-3 weeks before the final exam in a school in Europe?
I got better grades in the US than over here.
Okay, that's a fair answer. But from a soccer standpoint, you came into NCAA Division 1, and what do you feel was the main difference, kind of playing at that level or that style of play versus, how it was back home?
I feel like when I got to campus, everything was a little bit different because, I talked to one coach, and it was one coach that recruited me, but he resigned or quit or whatever, like 2 weeks before I left. So I never talked to the new coach. I never met him, and I didn't get in touch with him. So I just jumped on a plane and left, and I hoped that someone would pick me up at the airport. So it was like some miscommunication.
Yeah.
But he was there, and the captain was there. So they picked me up. We went to campus. The first thing we did was go to the locker room, change, and run the Manchester United fitness test. That was the first thing I did.
Just straight from the airport to do the fitness test?
Yeah.
Set the standards?
But it was just for fun. Like we all just it was all the players that had arrived at campus. We just went to the locker room and decided to run the fitness test just for fun.
Okay.
Just for fun.
Some extra fitness testing just before preseason.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've heard about that.
Yeah.
How did you do?
No, I completed it. The Manchester United fitness test is not that hard. And you're done after 20 minutes.
Okay. Well, you obviously is not a Manchester United supporter saying this. You a City fan?
No.
Liverpool?
No, I don't support like any clubs. I just like football.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're that type of guy. Yeah. But that's very different from my experience. That at my team we didn't show up for fun for a just a fitness test right after the.
You had to stay. You have to rest up and be ready for when it really counted.
Yeah.
That was typically how it was in preseason.
Yeah.
I think we probably, since you didn't know if the coach was going to pick you up, I think I sorted that for you. Just
you probably did.
I called him and say, hey, Justus coming in. You got to be there. Pick him up.
No, you probably did, and I know you did, but I never talked to him. So for me, it was a fun adventure.
Yeah. Well, adventure, a word we'll say more in this podcast episode for sure. But it's a very intense season, right? You've done the fun Manchester United fitness test, and now you do probably a couple of real fitness tests that you have to pass in order to meet the minimum standards to get playing.
We did 3 in a day. We did 3 fitness tests in a day, and we started with the Manchester United fitness test, and that was okay. But after that one, we started doing sprints, and everyone's already tired from the first one. So, I mean, the sprints didn't go well for anyone. But that's how it is. You just have to push.
You got to push and show the effort.
Yeah.
And you do remarkably get fit quite quickly when you have a regime like that. But it's also team bonding. It's fun. School hasn't started, so you can really get to know your new teammates and the area, and I love that time, even though it's challenging physically. It's a good, it's a boot camp.
Yeah,
but it should be it's a bonding boot camp.
Yeah, at least in D1.
Yeah. We'll talk about your Hawaii Pacific University pre-seasons and how they were. But the season is intense in the fall, and you play a lot of games. You have to travel. I mean, talk us through some of your most fun moments in your freshman season at Green Bay.
So everything started out pretty well with a new coach. We started playing a new system. We played 3 in the back, and we had it was a lot of running, because that's how it is. They just want you to run, and if you get tired, you sub out. Yeah. So the pace is higher throughout the game, the whole game, because people, if you get tired, you sub out, and then you get a fresh pair of legs on the field, and they keep running.
Yeah. You do that. It's different rules there again. It's not like, okay, only 3 subs or 5 subs during the game. You can sub in and out quite frequently.
Yeah.
Which makes it intense.
It does, especially since some teams, they always sub in fresh legs for the strikers, and usually you don't want to sub out the defenders, because it takes some time to get used to the pace and get set into the game. So you get tired, but then you always have a fresh striker running and is super happy to be on the field. Yeah. So it's tiring for sure, and it's different. You have to be focused throughout the whole game. A little bit different than over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what we heard from many people, players that have done it, myself included. It was but my game was also built quite around fitness and being. I was best without the ball. I think I've said that before, but every team needs one of those.
Yeah, every team needs one of those. Yeah, 100%. And any particular games you remember quite well from your freshman season there that just stood out?
I remember, of course, the game against Milwaukee, because that's an in-state rivalry. So it's all about winning the trophy. And since we already had the trophy from last year, if it ends up being a draw, we keep the trophy. Yeah. And it ended up being 2-2, and it was at home, so with fans.
A lot of fans in the stands. Because this is called the Chancellor's Cup. Yeah. So this is a Wisconsin state thing?
It's just between Milwaukee and Green Bay.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not a state thing. It's just 2 cities.
Yeah. But it's the bragging rights to keep that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Of course, there's a lot of rivalries in college, but that there's actually some silverware as well to compete for makes it even better, I think.
Yeah, it does. And I would say like another big moment was probably the last game I played against Madison, because I mean they were one of the bigger and better teams in the US, and winning against them, that was a good day.
You had some fun after the game, some celebrations with all the other cheese hats in the stands.
No, because that was away.
Okay.
Yeah. Travel back home. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a 3-hour drive back home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Celebration on the bus then.
Yeah. With Subway.
Yeah.
we were
with the Subway. Yeah.
Yeah, we were sponsored by Domino's. So after my sophomore year, you had to like put your name on a list if you wanted to get a pizza. But after my sophomore year, I was like, no, I can't deal with this anymore. Because right after the game, and you get like a full-on Domino's pizza thrown at you, I was just no, I can't eat that, because I always got can't eat on the bus, because when you have like a 6 hours bus ride back from Connecticut up to New Hampshire, and then have a Domino's pizza, and the whole bus smells for like Domino's pizza the entire way home. So I was just like, nope, I'm just gonna turn that down. I gave it to my roommate that didn't play as much, and he could eat 2 pizzas on the way back home.
Probably why I didn't play that much.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Talking about food, that was also a big difference, because over here, like I came from Notodden FK, and at some point they did like low carb. It was like super like hardcore low carb, and we would be measured every Friday, and it was pretty intense. And then moving over to the US, and we ate together before games and after games and all the time, and we would get like pasta carbonara, like before a game, and I couldn't function. It was way too heavy. So I talked to the coach, and he made sure that for the next game you had the sauce like by itself, and then pasta, and so you could like mix and match whatever you wanted. So you can get pasta and chicken if you wanted to, without like everything else.
Yeah, with all the gravy.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of gravy in the U.S.
Probably put some cheese on there too, right? In Wisconsin.
Cheese on every meal.
Yeah, but before a game, that didn't work for me.
No. Yeah, but it's good that you brought that up and could adapt. You were a bit older as well. I think it's easier coming over that you experienced some things and could quite easily make that adjustment when you needed to. But it actually ended up, you played your season and you did the whole academic year. But I remember speaking with you, and there was like a little bit of a change in you, in kind of an aha moment. I don't know, but you got what you wanted initially, because you wanted to play Division 1, you wanted to do that, but it wasn't kind of fulfilling you.
No.
Is that the right description?
Yeah, it was something missing. It was. It was a really good year, and it was a fun year, and it was good to experience it and to meet all the people and see how it worked. But there was something missing. It's difficult to explain, but I just felt like I wanted to do something else.
And you found what you were missing in Honolulu, Hawaii.
I did.
Okay, this is we get a lot of questions, and we've had a lot of students at Hawaii over the years, but it's far away. It's really, really far away, and we get a lot of questions about, how can you play your sport there, and you play just against the Hawaii teams, or you have to travel? I mean, how does it work? But we'll get into that. But why Hawaii?
That's a good question. I had some different offers the second time around as well. So it was something in Florida, if I remember correctly. It was South Carolina. But then Hawaii was the best offer, and the best climate.
Why was it the best offer? We have to get into the nitty-gritty details of this.
It was the best offer financially, and maybe not when it comes to sports, but when it comes to adventures and temperature. So for me, that was the right decision.
But what you must have been thinking about or feeling the missing link. You were in Green Bay, and you had a very good year, but you had something missing. But could you pinpoint exactly what that was?
No, I can't. So that was the weird thing, because I had a lot of fun in Green Bay, but it was just something missing. I just wanted to do something else, and I didn't know if I'm gonna find it in Hawaii either. So it was basically just jump in head first and see how it goes. And I mean, you can't go wrong with Hawaii.
That's very true. But on that note, were you were you thinking at that point that, all right, I tried D1-soccer. You played on a very high level in Norway, and were you sort of a bit tired of always having to be at the best and playing at your best all the time and having that pressure on you, and you sort of like, now I'm a bit tired of pursuing that and I want to pursue something else while still playing soccer, of course?
Yeah. I think that was my thoughts.
Yeah.
So I mean, I did well, but I knew I could do better at something else.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what it was yet, so that's why I tried Hawaii. I mean, even if you don't find what you're looking for, at least you'll find good weather on the beach.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, there's always a beach somewhere in Hawaii if you need it. But it is far away. I mean, yeah, it's one of the 50 states.
Pacific.
It is in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. You know, when you get to, because I've been to Hawaii too, and that's why I know Hawaii, how far it is. And I also been speaking to many of our students that have actually been there. Just a lot of them stayed over Christmas, and it was just like a hassle to get back home. And sometimes the families actually would go over and do Christmas there with them. But if you fly to LA, which I think is the most common route to get to Hawaii, it's not a short flight from LA either.
No, you still have 5 hours left. So I mean, it's far.
Yeah, because it's 5 hours from LA to the East Coast. You know, LA, Los Angeles to New York, for instance. I think it's like 5 hours. So it's so you keep going. But that's another interesting thing, that there's still quite a lot of schools there, right? Not that many. Not enough that you can just be in Hawaii the whole time and play there.
No.
But obviously you were part of the soccer team. It's an NCAA Division 2 soccer team. Obviously half the games are typically home games, and half of them you travel, and maybe you play against a couple other Hawaii schools.
Yeah.
But then how does the traveling work? I mean, you must miss a lot of school. It's quite a lot of planning involved in big trips like that.
It is, but at the same time, it's not that different from Green Bay, because I mean, in Green Bay you would travel with a bus and you would be gone for a week, because you will do 2 or 3 games, and you will travel by bus, so it takes a lot of time because you're traveling across all the cornfields.
The flat cornfields.
Yeah, the flat cornfields. But then in Hawaii you would fly for 5 hours, and then you're in LA, and then you would, I mean, travel by car, or you could fly to Las Vegas and do whatever you needed to do from there. So, I mean, you didn't travel that much more, but it was just like a different type of transportation. You went from bus to flight.
Yeah. But you would cluster these trips. It's not like you played one game in LA and then back to Hawaii. You would cluster it together, right?
Yeah, so you played 2 or 3 every time you went to the mainland.
Yeah.
But then you would do... So you have 3 schools on Oahu, and then you have 1 on Big Island. So if you go to Big Island, then that was back and forth the same day, because that's only like a 30 or 40-minute flight.
Yeah, so that's the Honolulu is Big Island.
No.
Okay, now then you have to enlighten us a bit on Hawaii.
Yeah, so you have Oahu, that's the main island with Waikiki Beach and Honolulu. Okay. So there,
Honolulu is the capital. Yeah, it's not the name of the island.
No.
Okay, then we're with you.
Yeah, and then you have Big Island where you have Hilo. That was the school.
Yeah.
And that's where you have the volcano and lava and all of that stuff. That's on Big Island. So it's 1 school there, and then 3 on Oahu or Honolulu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you have a Brigham Young University, I think, has a Hawaii campus, but that is Division 1, and they don't have, in your case, men's soccer.
No.
They're a very good women's soccer team. But I've been to Kauai.
Yeah.
You know, it's a very small island, also volcano, and I think the fun fact on that is that it's the place on Earth where there's most amount of precipitation, so rain, at this specific location. So it's not all sun and when you go to the beach, you might get some stormy weather, right?
Yeah.
Too at Hawaii.
You can. The good thing is that it's usually always one place on the island you can find sun. And it's not that big, so it takes 1 hour or 1 hour and 30 minutes to drive from like south to north. So, I mean, if you just go in and jump in a car, you'll find sun within an hour.
Were you chasing the sun?
Sometimes, but sometimes you would chase the rain as well because you wanted to see the big waterfalls.
Yeah.
I think we're getting to what was missing from the flat cornfields in Green Bay versus something like this, right? It is a popular destination for a lot of Europeans to go to Hawaii, and it's also nice that you can play your sport. And when you did go to these away trips, it wasn't just LA. I mean, you went many different states.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of it was in California, but it was some in LA. It was in San Diego, in Utah. Yeah, I mean, that was...
I think you went to Idaho.
Yeah, we did,
Colorado.
Yeah.
I think you've done some of those as well.
Yeah, that's true. We actually went to some of those as well. We went to this surf turf, the blue turf field, and I think that is in Idaho.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Idaho, probably most known for their potatoes. Wisconsin, cornfields.
Yep.
Idaho, potatoes.
Yep.
Hawaii, most known for the beaches. But you had a good season when you in your first season at Hawaii. You won a lot of games.
We had a really good team. It was a completely like international starting 11. No one from the US.
Yeah, that's not common.
No, it's not.
It happens, but not common at all.
No, so it was a Spanish guy in goal, 3 other Spanish people in like the back four, plus me. Then we had an Australian and Japanese in the midfield, and a German. And then we had German up top with, I believe it was another Spanish or French. And it was another Japanese in there somewhere. It's a lot of different countries, but not any Americans or anyone from Hawaii.
But how many players in the total squad?
20 maybe.
Okay, so it's a bit smaller than the typical one that has maybe 26, 27.
Yeah.
And how was the? I imagine it was a good group of people that were there together to explore.
Yeah.
But also to win games. I mean, you did a lot of that.
Yeah. People definitely wanted to win games, but at the same time, I think most of us were on the same page. So we were kind of ready to just like slow down and like play more for fun. And that made the team really good because we were all on the same page. We wanted to have fun, but I mean, no one cared if you start to do some step overs like right like in front of your own goal, because we just started laughing. And I mean, we had a lot of fun, and all the players were good because they came from good teams. So I mean, I guess that was our advantage. Everyone was good with the ball, and everyone had played at a good level. But now people were ready to just like, I mean, play more for fun. So it's more like if you go to third division team here, you can still meet a lot of good players. So yeah.
Sort of like I think that's sort of in the plan for most of the people, though. If you, not to say anything bad about Wisconsin, but there is a little bit more attractive to be in Hawaii, and there is something outside the soccer pitch that's maybe
it has
even
some,
more.
It has some X factor.
It has some
X
X factor
over any other place probably in the US.
Yeah, and that's probably why there were so many internationals on your team as well, because there's a very, very special place for Europeans and others that wants to really see the world and see something different from what we're used to. So I think that probably the cause of, I think a lot of the schools in Hawaii actually do have a lot of internationals just because it's such a popular place to come and visit.
And it's much closer to Asia.
It is.
It'd also be a reason.
Yeah. It's right in the middle between the US and Japan, right?
Yeah. So, what were your favorite moments then in your first year? And did you get like settled?
Yeah, so when I got to Hawaii, I didn't have a place to stay. So I stayed with the team captain. and I stayed. It was the team captain, and he had a bedroom with his girlfriend, so I was on a mattress like in their bedroom for
third wheel.
Yeah, real third wheel for a couple of months, I think, until we rented a temple, like a Buddhist temple. So we moved.
Like you do?
Yeah, like you do in Hawaii. So we rented a Buddhist temple. So it was him and his girlfriend. It was me and a couple of other players from the team. So we all rented a temple outside of campus. And that's where I guess all the adventures started. So the captain on the team, he was really into photography. And another guy we lived with was also into photography, like surf photography. So every day we would go to the beach and we'd take photos. And we would go home and we'll like play around, edit the photos. And of course you had school and you had soccer. But everything like lent more and more towards like photography and exploring the island. And since we were like 3 people in the same household that liked it, and we all played on the same team because it was the goalie, the midfielder, and me. And then we became like a group that wanted to adventure more.
Yeah. And that was sort of the light bulb that just went on and said like this was the missing link. This is.
Yeah, I think so, because we just enjoyed it so much. So we would go hiking before school for sunrise, and then we would run down the mountain to get down to class, and then it was football practice, and then we would go hiking again for sunset.
And it's unbelievable sunsets in Hawaii.
Yeah. And sunrises. The sunrise is actually even better.
Yeah.
But then you have to get up.
I slept through those.
Yeah.
That's a shame. I have to go back.
Yeah.
No, so I mean that was like the small group of people it started with, and then Jackson Gross, that was the captain. He was studying journalism, and then he started writing a blog or building a blog. He had 1 year left. I had 3. So he had 1 year left, and he started building a travel blog where he started posting our trips, because that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to travel when he was done with school. And by the way, he had also played Division 1 for Oregon State. Yeah. So, I mean, it was good players, but he wanted to do something more as well. So he came to Hawaii, started writing his travel blog, and today he's one of the biggest, or has one of the biggest travel blogs in the world. I think it's like top 3 in the world when it comes to a single person writing. So he's like competing with TripAdvisor and all of those like big companies.
Okay. Well, we need to spread the love and show the show now that travel finally is more possible again, and see that, because you were part of this.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, building that with him.
Yeah. So he started with his blog. I never liked writing, so I was not gonna start a blog. So he did that, and he did well the first year. And then he left, and I had 2 more years on the island. So I kept adventuring, but I had to find a new group of people because, he wasn't there anymore. He was all over Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
To find more Buddhist temples to live in there?
Yeah, he tried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you had another one move into the temple. You still kept that, I imagine?
Yeah, we kept the temple. But then I started linking up with some Norwegians. For the first time in a couple of years. And they loved the idea as well. So, we started hiking and doing all kind of fun stuff on the island, and they were not on the football team. So then I was pulled more and more away from football and focused more and more on hiking and photography, videography. So we ended up being a good group of 4, 3 Norwegians and an American. Like hiking a lot. One did videography, and I did photography, and we started posting stuff on Instagram. That's basically how it started. And we would post stuff from every single trip, like every single day. And that was back in the days when Instagram was still like a popular platform where you could grow organically, which you can't anymore.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. That's I still enjoy that platform.
Yeah,
but I'll probably have to get up to speed with what all you youngsters looking at.
Same here, Kim. I'm terrible at it, so it's good to finally hear some wisdom.
But you were studying business administration. I mean, was that a good fit for you?
Yes and no. I mean, I learned some basics when it came to, starting my own business, but I spent most of the time in class editing my photos, to be honest.
But you're becoming a marketer, right? So
yeah,
that's probably, so you had some marketing classes. So did you pay attention at all in those, or?
no, I didn't. That's not where I learned like that stuff. But now, yeah, I'm a digital marketing or head of digital marketing and content creation. But to get into where I learned all of that, I mean, we can go a little bit, like step a little bit back, because I kept taking photos and I kept like pushing the limits. So we would climb crazier mountains. We would do like scarier things, and we would do illegal hikes on the island. We would get past the guards at nighttime and find like sketchy hikes and illegal hikes. But that's where you get the best pictures, because there's a lot of photographers and videographers on the island, because it's so easy to take a good photo in Hawaii. So that's where a lot of people start. So we started pushing the limits, and that's where people starting to notice us, basically. Like we would take pictures of different places on the island, and no one knew where it was. It was like a new angle.
Yeah, because there is a story about Sacred Falls, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Sacred Falls is, I think that's like the most illegal hike on the island. And I mean, I do understand why, because it's really narrow, and the vibration in the mountain, sometimes it makes like the rocks fall, and big rocks can fall. And if they fall, I mean, you're dead. And if you get hurt, then rescue people have to get in there, and they have to risk their life to get you out. And that's why it's like a $3,000 fine and jail time if you get caught trying to do it.
But they're not trying to make it people not go there by calling it Sacred Falls.
It's a terrible name.
Yeah, I believe it became like sacred after, I think it was like 19 people dying in like the pool at the bottom from rocks falling.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that's why it's like sacred.
But you still went there?
Yeah, I've been there several times. But
more and more confident every time.
Yeah. That's basically how it went. But so we took some pictures. Sacred Falls, Stairway to Heaven is another hike, which is illegal and is guarded 24/7. But it's not like that restricted. It's $1,000 fine. I mean, it's still money, but it's not as bad.
That was in your budgets?
It was still in my budget.
In the business plan?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we started taking photos on these places, and then some bigger names started reaching out to us, because a lot of influencers from Los Angeles, they travel to Hawaii to get some different pictures than what you can get in the city center of Los Angeles. And that's when Mark Donor and his friend Mac, they came to the island, and they asked if I could take them to Sacred Falls, because they had seen pictures. Mark Donor, at the time, he was Logan Paul's roommate, and was editing his vlogs and all of that stuff, and he was also building a brand for himself. So I mean, I said yes. I've been there several times, so why not? I mean, I brought other people there. So we got past the guards, and we went to Sacred Falls, took some pictures, made a vlog, like all the basic stuff that we always did. And then he stayed on the island for another week, where we went diving, like cliff diving. We went on all like different hikes. And it was, I believe it was January 31st, so New Year's Eve. December 31st. Yeah. So New Year's Eve, and we were watching the fireworks, and then he said, I mean, I have to leave tomorrow, but do you want to go back to Los Angeles and keep creating content? And I mean, I booked a flight on the rooftop that night, and we left the next day. I mean, I still had school and football and all of that stuff, but I just said to my coach that I'm gonna be gone for a couple of weeks, maybe more. So the next day we flew to LA. I got the address to their apartment because they had a different flight than what I did because it was fully booked. And the first thing I saw when I got to the apartment was Evan. So his name is like Dwarf Mamba on social media, jumping out of a suitcase in Logan's living room. And that was basically like another turn into like the crazy world of content. So what they were filming that day was they were going to create a vlog where they pretended to ship Evan, the dwarf, in a suitcase underneath a plane from the US to Paris. So that was what I like walked into. So they were filming all of this stuff in the living room. So this would be like the part of the vlog where he's like underneath the plane. So we would like shake the suitcase, and he would have a GoPro and some water and stuff like that inside of the suitcase. And then we did film the rest of it in Paris and in Los Angeles.
Content creation 101.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen and learn.
Yeah. So that was the beginning of that adventure. That's when I figured out that this is what I like. Like this is the creativity and this is what I enjoy.
So it's been what you're telling us here. It's quite remarkable journey to listen to. More crazy than most. And I believe you haven't gotten a fine at Hawaii for doing sketchy hikes.
No fines.
No fines. So save that money. But you've invested in a lot of equipment. You made this into something big and part of a network.
Yeah.
But network for you, is that what you're left with after now you're back in Norway? I mean, you took advantage of what the place had to offer.
Yeah.
Fully, I would say.
Yeah, fully. So networking has been and has always been big for me, and it still is. So I mean, going to college and university, I feel like that was one of like the main things I wanted to do, because I mean, you can get a degree here as well, but you never meet like so many different kind of people at one place that you can do over in the US with all the different backgrounds. So just like getting to know as many people as possible, because you never know who's going to be the main or the next Elon Musk. I mean, it could be anyone in the room. So just like networking, that was like a big thing for me.
But how do you do that in practice? Like, would you go into your classes, your lectures, and just strike up conversations?
Yeah, talk to everyone. That's how easy it is. I mean, that's how difficult it is, but that's also how easy it is.
So everybody on campus knew you?
A lot of people did, yeah.
And did they know you because of being just on their classmate and on the soccer team, or more, hey, that's the vlog guy and he's been to Sacred Falls?
It started with, that's the guy from class or campus, and then suddenly I've seen your pictures everywhere. Because, yeah, suddenly my pictures would be the main banner at like 9gag or like other like viral pages.
Because you know, I started seeing your pictures and I was thinking, there's some computer generated CGI imagery here, but it's actually you. And we'll share some of these photos so that people can go in and check it out. But it's you jumping from ridiculous heights and yeah. But it's not fake. You're doing it.
I would say 90% of it is real, and then sometimes we did fake some of it. Yeah.
But I mean, you've been on these crazy, dangerous. They're closed off for a reason.
Yeah,
it's dangerous. Obviously, were you not afraid of what could happen?
No, but I mean, we had talked about it like afterwards, that some of the stuff we did was probably not a good idea. And I would say the most dangerous one was probably when we went to Big Island and we went to the lava, because it was like flowing lava and like spitting into the ocean, and then everything was closed off. But we jumped the fence, and we walked on top of basically like crust. So I mean, it was new land, and we walked with a stick to make sure we like wouldn't like fall through and have lava to your knees. And then we walked all the way to where like the lava fountain was, like spitting into the ocean, and you would have boats like in the water because that was safe. That would be like a trip, a paid trip. So they would be in the ocean far away to just look at it, but we would stand right above it. So you would have magma and lava like exploding from the ocean and up to where we were standing. And what we didn't know was that below the edge we were standing on, it was nothing there because it was just like crust from like the new land being made. So it was nothing below it. So if we were to fall down into the ocean, I mean, it would just be boiled.
Another sacred fall.
Yeah, that's another. Yeah, but that's just the adrenaline just taking you on, right? On these new adventures every single day.
Yeah.
And thinking about it, maybe now it's just like, all right, yeah, that was then. Maybe you wouldn't do that right now, maybe? Or is that adrenaline still in with you?
I definitely wouldn't do it now when I have a wife and a daughter.
No.
If I was alone, I probably still would.
Yeah, still pursue it. Yeah.
But in the end, with everything that you did, you got an opportunity and you had a passion and you ran with it. Yeah. And in the end, you didn't finish up your degree. You're still lacking one year classes. Ever gonna go back and finish?
No.
You don't need to?
No, I don't. Not in the field I work in. If I want to become a doctor or a lawyer or something like that, then I would have to. But for me, my portfolio and all the hours I spent like editing, creating content, marketing, is more valuable than a couple of hours in class.
But did you get? I mean, you talk about education, getting a foundation, and you've done a lot of education. It must have helped you in some way or form with your what you've been doing since. And I mean, you have a proper job too. You're not just influencing.
No, I have a proper job as well. But I've never used my educational background to apply to any of the jobs. I only use my portfolio. So for me, I would say university was amazing for networking. That's where I got the most value.
They talk about internships and doing that as part of your degree. I feel like your Hawaii Pacific University was one big internship.
Yeah,
that you just loved.
And then the main internship was staying with Logan, I believe, seeing how they work, being the best in their game.
It's are you listening, kids? This is important. Maybe don't go to those closed off places. The fences are there for a reason. But to follow a passion, I think it's super inspiring. And I mean, you can give us the stats, but how many millions are following you? How many views? I mean, it's crazy numbers.
Our TikTok, my family TikTok account is probably the most popular today, and we had 280,000 followers, and the videos have been seen like closer to 100 million times.
And this is videos that you edit, and your wife and your daughter, is the Norwegian family.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome how you do that. Any other plans moving forward with what you want to do?
No, not as of right now. I mean, right now I'm happy with what I'm doing, but suddenly if I feel like I should do something else, then I'll probably do it.
You're not shy to say no to something if you like it, the sound of it.
No. And the TikTok idea was actually again from networking, because I got married to Elizabeth in Los Angeles. So we left Norway and flew to Los Angeles to get married. And the minister was Tristan Tales, a guy I met on a cruise ship on a influencer job for Royal Caribbean. And then I flew back with him, stayed with him for a while he was in Team 10. And then suddenly he was the minister in my wedding. And then he told Elizabeth and I to start a family account on TikTok when we got back to Norway. So this was February 2020.
just before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And you've been producing videos ever since that are viewed by millions and millions of people.
Yeah. So the last year has been year and a half, almost one video a day, just to keep the mind working and not like settling down.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm amazed. It's a new world to this.
Definitely, but that's the fun part about it. Then, and you probably couldn't foresee your future and see what was you're going to end up with when you left for Wisconsin. And several years later, you're an influencer, you have a wife, you have a kid, you have a good job. It's funny how those small changes that you've done, because you played on a high level in Norway, and then I want to see the US, I want to travel the world, I want to explore a new culture, and you contacted Kim, and then you left for Wisconsin, and then that year is playing in D1-soccer. It was fun, but there's something missing, and then Hawaii turned up, and several years in Hawaii, and that life you lived there has suddenly just mashed up to one great cheesecake, and you've gotten so much out of it. That decision you made almost 10 years ago now.
It's actually almost been 10 years. Time flies, but definitely it was a good decision to contact you, because that's where everything started.
Yeah, who would have known? It's fun to see. That's why we love the journeys here. Yeah. But your last, let's call it your advice to others. Your journey is a unique one, but what to others that are thinking about doing this, or it doesn't have to be US, it could be for another journey. But what's a good takeaway?
I would say just do whatever feels right to you. I mean, if that is skipping school or do whatever it feels right. I mean, if that is going to the US or stay here or wherever it is, just go with it.
And we'll leave it at that. Just, it's been great to have you at our studio. It's raining. It's a nice view here. Not as nice as the Hawaii views, we know, but we're pretty happy with it.
Yeah.
But thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.